Today we're going to learn about the tabs that we can use in Previzion to run a production. To start with the tracking tab, really the only thing you're going to be running is this camera slot over here and this camera offsets, basically to reset the camera to 0. When you want to move around the scene to set up a different shot, you can click this edit button on the camera and then move your camera similar to Maya controls with the Alt button and the various mouse buttons. You'll notice that you pivot off of the crosshair in the scene. As soon as you set up your new shot, disable the edit camera and then reset your Y offset to 0 so that your floor is actually on the floor. Next, in the camera tab, mainly you'll just want to make sure that your f-stop is set to whatever the camera's f-stop is. Right now, mine is set to 2.8. Yours may be different depending on how your shoot is going. We are using the Ursa camera with the Rokinon 24mm lens. If you change lenses, you just have to load in the correct lens calibration file. We don't use stereo. In video, we want to make sure that our frame rate matches our camera. This camera usually is always set to 2997p. The Ursa is a progressive camera. It is not a progressive segmented frames. So whatever frame rate you have, it is P, not PSF. And of course, we have it enabled on our HDSDI1, and we can see that by opening the display and going to foreground. This is what our camera looks like right now. That is all you'll be using for the video setup for now. There is video destinations that will be covered later. We already have a video for keying, so refer to that for the keying tutorial. Mats. This is for getting rid of or keeping elements around the green screen. The first thing you'll use is the surveyed mats, which allow you to tell the Previzion system where your room is and where your green screen is, more importantly, so you can keep all of the footage that is on the green. Everything else will be thrown out, and this allows you to have a 360-degree scene as opposed to just being able to composite on the green. It allows you to set up establishing shots, more importantly. To set those up, there are two ways. There's add surveyed, where you add in the 4 points of the surveyed mat based on XYZ coordinates. And there is the drawn mats, which you will draw onto your screen, choose the inside or outside, whichever you want to be the mat, and you can set up its Z depth away from the camera. It will stay wherever the camera is pointing. Next is the scene tab. Here you'll be using basically every menu except for editable lights. We don't use that anymore. You'll load in your FBX file. It will come up with all of the things that it's loading. It'll tell you what it's loading when and how long it's taking. Usually a decent scene will take about 2 minutes, whereas low-level scenes just for setting up compositions will take a matter of seconds. We always want to have anti-aliasing turned on. We want foreground turned on. And our depth of field, we usually set to 1 so that it matches the camera's depth of field. If you don't like the look, you can change it a little bit to kind of match what you feel you want the look to be. The next is the CG effect shaders, which control some parameters of the scene. Most of this can be handled in the color correction tab now. And the next thing is your editable transforms. Usually you set up your scene with an edit world, and I like to set up mine with an edit sky. You can additionally add other editable transforms for objects that you'd like to change. Edit world is very important because if you scale your scene incorrectly when building it, you can change it to match the real world. And then edit sky. I like to use edit sky because then I can rotate my sky texture to change the direction of the sun or just make sure that it looks good. Next is the color tab. In this one, it's basically an all-around color corrector like you'd see in After Effects and Nuke. There are 3 types of color changes you can make. You can change the scene's color to whatever you like using gamma, contrast, saturation, temperature, and tint. You can change the foreground as well. And then you can also do a composite color color correction, which allows you to change the overall look of both the background and foreground once you have them matched. Next is the Takes tab. This is probably the most important one for you to use because you will want to keep the camera tracking data from your shoot so you can use it for later compositing, rendering out your scene from Maya with full level detail. We have panel RJ45 as our LTC source. There is a timecode generator that you need to turn on the Previzion box. It's the little blue metal box with the switch to turn it on. You'll see that time code is on your screen, and you should check your camera to make sure that it has the same time code. The biggest controls you'll use for the Takes tab is Take Controls, Takes Directory, and Take Information. We want to also have these thumbnails turned on so you can see what you are recording in the take structure once you cut. So you may want to add in your project name and your class, various other things that you can put on this that will show up in your take. It is very important for you to always have more tracking data than you have footage, because if you have footage that is usable but you did not have tracking data for that footage, you will be at a loss. So always make sure that you roll before you roll on camera. You'll see the take information disappear, and then you can roll on your recording deck, which is below. Record on the Blackmagic recording deck, and when you're done, cut the Blackmagic and then come over and cut the takes. You'll see that it popped up in the takes directory, new take 001. It's about 20 seconds long. From there, what you want to do is move over to the take converter program. And that is up here in the top right corner. Only use these certain icons because everything else on the other side of the screen is just for functional purposes. So open up the take converter, run, and you'll see that your take has popped up over here. You'll see the thumbnails of what happened in that take. And then you can choose your in point and your out point. Queue it up. You'll see it pop up in the queued timeline. You can queue many takes at one time, just like this. And then you select what format you want the take data to go out. You'll more than likely use the Maya ASCII format. You may use Synthesize if you have access. NukeChan does work. There is a specific set of instructions to get a NukeChan file into Nuke. There's also Buju and ActionScript. You can also name this whatever you want for the Maya ASCII file. And as soon as you have all your settings chosen, also choose your directory. We'll put this on the desktop under converted takes. All right, and then we hit convert. You'll see that it converted all of these files with no errors. And we'll go over to our desktop again. And in converted files, you'll see that the two takes are right here. You'll go in, you have your action, Buju, Chan, Maya, and a TXT. This is just basic TXT of what happened at every single frame of your take. And also your thumbnails for the takes. This is also your information on the take, what the project name was, and everything you need. And that is pretty much all you need to know low level for operating the Previzion system on the computer side.